All right. Hello and welcome to the InnoFrontier podcast. So pleased to have Paul Draper here from Redo, the CTO. So Paul, I did notice that you got your private pilot's license recently. What are you flying?
Yeah, well, I got my private pilot's license flying a Cessna 150,
Nice.
and right now though I'm flying some a DA-20, right, Diamond Star, and then I'm hoping to get my complex endorsement in Piper Aero here in the next few
Ooh,
weeks.
exciting. Where do you fly out of?
Spanish Fork.
Yep. Okay. So that's where I did my flight training as well. Was at a Spanish Fork. It always kind of scared me on the descent with all those buildings right there.
Yeah. I got every time I'd come in high. You know, if you're landing on the 30 and you're flying over the hospital there, and there's the freeway. It looks like you're gonna run right into the freeway. So.
So what prompted that? Was that something you just always wanted to do, or?
I've known a number of people that have been pilots. I had a friend of mine who taught me, got me probably like 80% of the way there when I got my license. So just have known people or been around people. Last summer, I went to the World Aerobatics Championship in which is in Poland that year. Just to see the U.S. team there and had some acquaintances and stuff. So, yeah.
No, doing things like that have always been really inspiring. Going to like an air show at the Air Force Base, I think is, one of those things where you can't walk away from and not want to.
Spanish Fork, they have wings and wheels, and they just did, it was like a couple months ago that they do it every year. They have an air show there too. There's the big one at Hill Air Force Base, that 1 million people go and see. And then but yeah, if you're close to Spanish Fork, they've also got one there every year that's pretty neat too.
I definitely need to look that up, and thankfully I'm recording this so I can get all that information.
Yeah, so yeah, wings and wheels, because they've got the airplanes, and then they've got a car show. So wings, wheels, put them both together.
No, makes sense. No, that's exciting. So at what point, when you were younger, did you kind of realize, hey, technology is how I want to make my career?
Yeah, that's I mean, I took some programming classes like here or there, but when I transferred from the University of Florida to BYU, so at the University of Florida I was material science and engineering, and they didn't have that major at BYU, so I needed to pick something, and I did remember at UF that all my schoolmates that did computer science, they all had sweet internships, and they're like 2 years into school, and had some like really great paying internship, and so I thought, hey, that sounds like a neat direction, and so and anyway, turns out I really liked it and was good at it. So.
What was the first project that you ever built?
I don't know. That's
It's delving too back.
I mean, because at some point you're programming there on, like, I don't know, your graphing calculator, which I don't know if people have those anymore, but and or writing like little programs in like Excel or something, and then you start writing bigger and bigger stuff using, I don't know, real programming languages, but yeah, I don't know. When I was at BYU, so they have so ACM, that's the Professional Society Association for Computing Machinery, and they have student chapters as well. And so I was involved in the BYU student club, and one of my projects, I made us a membership site using Django or something. That was probably my first real like web project. And so that was a fun way to learn.
Oh, for sure. And walk me through. So, for those listening, you were also the chief architect for Lucid. Lucid is a
Yeah.
very prominent company here in Utah, and used by many dev teams all over the world. We use it at our company, and are very reliant on it. I've logged into it 3 or 4 times today. Um, so, talk to us about how you got over there and what some of the big initiatives you worked on there.
Yeah. So I worked for a couple tech companies before that, but like while I was still in school or before I graduated, and then one on graduation, I was trying to get my my friend Ryan Stringham, who currently is the chief architect at Lucid. I was trying to get him to come work for the company I was at, and he did a I'll interview there if you interview here, and he was an intern at Lucid, and Lucid at the time was like, you know 20 people or so, very very small, and so but anyway, I interviewed there. I mean, they had just a great great team, just super talented, both on the tech side and also the business side. And so started with them, and was there for 5 years. Worked on just a whole bunch of projects. Some features, a lot of technical work as well. We migrated uh, the code base from PHP to Scala, from JavaScript to TypeScript. Was in
Oh,
charge of the team that wound up implementing a WebGL renderer for Lucid Chart to improve its performance there. A lot of a lot of other projects with like CI/CD type stuff.
and having that experience, I'm sure taught you a lot about seeing a company grow. Over the 5 years that you were there, you said you joined it with about 20 people. When you left, about how big was it?
I think they had like probably 300 or 400 people,
Jeez.
and I don't know what they're at now, but I don't know, maybe double that or somewhere in that ballpark. They work remote now, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, it grew, you know, much more than TEDx, from when I was first there. Yeah, that was exciting, and Utah's had a number of great success stories, in Structure, Lucid, Qualtrics, Podium, Divi. Like, there's just, there's a lot of those, and it's it's I think being there, and watching the magic happen, and kind of understanding what that takes is a really really cool professional experience.
Well, I'm sure prepared you pretty well to go with your next entrepreneurial adventure. So, talk to us a little bit about Rivet and how that idea came, and where you took that. Which
Yeah,
that's a really cool company. I actually sat next to oh
Ted,
CEO
Andrew.
Ted.
Yeah, so
Yes, we
Ted's
went
the
out
CEO.
to
Yeah.
SaaStr, and I was sitting next to him and was hearing his whole pitch on Rivet.
Okay, yeah. So that was fun. So I got in touch with them through the previous chief architect at Lucid. He had he introduced me to Ted, when I was at Lucid at the time, and so Ted Farron had he had a sales background. He had previously been VP of sales at Canopy Tax. And then our third co-founder, Andrew Harding, had a background in healthcare administration, billing. Had been a consultant for a number of years, and so healthcare and healthcare billing is a problem space with a lot of problems, and so
Nightmare.
we
Yeah.
and so I we had a great team, so I was in charge of the tech, and Ted had the sales mind, and then Andrew had the problem domain expertise. And one of the things that we observed is, and a lot of people, I mean, I could do, we could do like a, 2 3 hour segment on this, but the how medical billing works is complicated. And one of the things I think a lot of people kind of see the front end of it when they go to the doctor, and doctors don't know how much you're going to have to pay, and whatever else, the frustrations there. And there's a lot of companies that have like cropped up in that space to make the consumer experience better. One of the things that we noticed is that there's actually this whole dynamic between the insurance payer and the healthcare provider, the doctor, that relationship, that we felt was under addressed. And so we built some products to make that better. Somewhere along the way, we also realized that we actually had a really interesting data set, so that we could start telling patients like how much they're actually going to pay, which is actually a super complex problem. When the doctor doesn't know how much you're going to pay, it's not because he's being an ass. It's just he legitimately doesn't know, and so but some of the work we did like helped that. So that's one of the things that Rivet also does now, is like patient cost estimation. And anyway, that was a lot of fun. I mean, as fun, I think, as medical billing can really be.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a nightmare, and anybody listening will understand that it's a nightmare. And what led you to kind of make the leap kind of away from the co-founder role to then going to the next company that you did?
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was mostly just some personal reasons there. But Rivet really was, and it is a really great company. But and then so not a lot to say on the segue there, but yeah, Redo. So I've been at Redo for um, about a year now, a little less than a year. And this Redo is a very very exciting opportunity. It's different. I mean, I've worked in all different industries at different times. So like Lucid charts, and the productivity space, right? And then Rivet was in the medical space, and Redo's in e-commerce. But I actually, so one of the investors, seed investors in Rivet, was Paleon Venture Partners. So
Hmm.
they're I believe they're likely the biggest fund that does seed investments in Utah, and they're in Cottonwood Heights. And when we were doing Rivet, we actually they're kind enough to let us use their offices
Oh,
for
cool.
several months while we're getting started, or longer than that, I think. But and anyway, they had also invested in this company, Redo, and Taylor Brown, he's a solo founder of it, and he was looking for a CTO, and so Paleon, introduced us, and made that connection there. So yeah, that's how I started here.
And tell us a little bit about Redo and about some of the exciting things you're working on today. And then, kind of a segue to the next part is, would love to learn a little bit about the recent changes with AI and what you guys may be looking to implement in the future, or anything that you can tell us about it. Maybe there's some things that you can't, but what is Redo, and what are the things that excite you the most about the future?
Yeah, so Redo is returns management. So online merchants, uh, independent merchants. So we're built on Shopify. So uh, Taylor Brown, the founder, he used to have a clothing brand. He had a successful exit, but had an apparel brand. And there's a lot of those out there. And anyway, so you've got these people selling stuff online. People need to um, uh, return items for a refund or exchange or store credit. And so Redo offers software to help make that a really good experience. Our the vision is that that Amazon experience that everybody loves, and they have Prime, and half the households in the U.S. or something like that, right? Being able to help independent merchants, offer that same experience. And there's fairly innovative pricing model behind Redo that allows it to do that, which I can speak a little bit more to. But anyway, the idea is returns management, and giving independent merchants the ability to offer the same experience that you'd get on a big marketplace like Amazon with free and easy returns.
Oh, I mean, I love it. I love it. And what's the traction been like at Redo so far? And what are some of the kind of next steps for the company?
Yeah, well, growth has been tremendous, and I don't know if I can share exact numbers on that, but it's it's been really strong. I mean, Taylor raised a seed round last year, um, and uh, basically all the growth has happened, in the last year or so, and right now we've got current headcounts, I think in the neighborhood of like 25, and um, but like growing very quickly, looking to hire a bunch more engineers, much more salespeople. I'm sorry, I might have missed the question, part of the
Oh
question
no,
that
that's
you asked
perfect.
there.
No, no, that's great. And then, as far as the technology goes, right? A lot of interesting things happening in just technology generally. How are you looking at some of the
Oh
interesting
yeah.
things that are coming out? And, what are you looking at doing as far as the technology, vision, as much as you can share, of course.
Yeah, so yeah, there's obviously AI is huge, right? So which I gotta say it's been exciting to see what kinds of things are possible now that like just I think if you ask me, 2-3 years ago, right, just like absolutely impossible, right, to do some of the things that you see today, and that goes across the gamut, from making us personally more productive as software engineers, or making the sales team more productive, or obviously potential for improving Redo itself. We do have a number of like features and opportunities that we're pretty excited about to add.
Very exciting. And if you could, kind of give some advice to people that are coming up and as they look and evaluate opportunities to join certain companies, it certainly looks like you've had a few really interesting things come across your plate that you took that really accelerated your career. What sort of advice would you give to somebody who's just kind of starting out, as they're trying to understand what their career could look like?
hmm Um, my advice would be to always work with the best team that you can. So when I was a new grad, and I had offers from Amazon and Google and Microsoft, and um, all very exciting, very lucrative opportunities, and went with at the time, at least, little Lucid, there in South Jordan, or Draper at the time, um, and I did that largely because I thought that they just had a super talented team, and I think that's as you look at um, startup success in general, right, and this is important to people, you know on several levels, like you want to join, whether and there's pros and cons of doing like early stage startups, but whether it's an early stage startup or later stage company, like you always want to work at a company that's doing well, that's growing, that's like because that creates a lot of opportunities, for you, financially, career growth, etc. And the two things that determine a company's success are, like, one, what kind of team it has, and then two, what kind of product market fit it's able to find. And so it's not possible to, like, choose winners every single time or anything like that. But I think that, and particularly people, I think, early on in your career, like, it's obviously you want to choose something that puts food on the table, and let you live the kind of life you want to. But really, especially early on in your career, like, if you maximize the amount of, learning, and personal growth that you can do, I think that's always the smart choice. And what I translate that to is like, where can you find like the best engineers to work with, the best, business people to work with, the best company cultures and teams to work with.
Amazing advice. I think everybody needs to hear it. And thank you so much, Paul, for hopping in here, for sharing with us a little bit about your journey and obviously some takeaways that you've had. We certainly wish you the best and are so excited to watch Redo, go up to the right. So thank you very much for being here.
No, thanks, Jeff.